Everyone, welcome to another episode of Independent Artists Unite Song Series. I'm very excited tonight. I have coaxed out of the darkness, the elusive Andy Smith of Burnt Log. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Nice to
So
see you. You're looking great.
Oh, thank you. So are you. Well,
Thank you.
it's so exciting for me when someone says, that's not my cup of tea. And then over time, work on them a little bit. And then finally they relent.
Yep. Didn't take too much work on me, to be honest with you. I wasn't playing hard to get. I was just thought, got about time that get this face out there. I was hiding the face for a while. I just wanted the music for its own merit. I didn't want this because I'm so attractive, obviously. I didn't want that to just like dominate the music.
You don't want to sell with that. Yeah. I understand.
No.
But I have to tell you, man, I've been on a Burnt Log deep dive today. And
cool.
I've listened to, I don't know how many songs I listened to, but many songs. It's really I'm like really impressed, man. It's such an incredible like wide-ranging repertoire of like intelligent music. You know what I mean? Like just like it's nothing. It's like I can't really anticipate what's going to happen next. You know what I mean? And the kind of chord progressions and the harmonies. I mean, everything's just like a harmony with another instrument. It's never like the bass does what the guitar does, and then the vocals do that over top. It's always like a very like intelligent arrangement and I mean, I love the saxophone in there that you're having quite a few numbers. Is that you playing the saxophone as well?
I would like to say it was, but it's my finger playing the saxophone on the
Is that
keyboard.
right?
So,
Oh my God,
yeah,
that sounds fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty good to me. Like I was amazed how good that sounded. So I was getting that right. I always thought that the sort of brass instruments that you get on these cheap samples are so rubbish, but that just came with logic. So
it really has a little bit of like a loosey goosey feel to it. So it really sounds live,
And
That's
you
amazing.
can alter it quite a bit to try and make it out as real as possible. So I do spend quite a long time sort of tweaking it. To try and get it there.
Wow, that's amazing. And so the whole thing is like a one-man band, right? You're playing everything on there?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
when
it
I say
also
playing,
has a really live feel.
Yeah, that's probably to do with my mix engineer. He really makes it pump and kick, I think. Whereas I am playing everything, but it takes a long time to stitch it all together because I'm not a very proficient musician at all. So what I do is I record little pieces and join them all together, and I do lots and lots and lots. I mean, I can't get through a single take.
Well, it's just like wildly creative, man. I just like really been enjoying it, and I really I mean, they all kind of have a melancholy feel to them.
Yeah.
Which I always love too. I always joke that if I pick up a guitar, it's like something sad's gonna come out of it.
Yeah.
It's
never. That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best kind of music. I mean, it has to be emotional and sad in some way. And I really love placing myself in there because my life isn't that emotional or sad, really. I mean, I've got a nice life. So to place myself in something like that, I'm trying to put myself back as when I was a teenager, when I was a bit more mopey and moody and not a lot was going on. So I would go around and my world was in my headphones. So I just want to hopefully give other people the opportunity to also place themselves in this kind of soundtrack I'm creating to just make it a bit more cinematic in your otherwise mundane existence.
Well, cinematic is a great adjective, because it really cinematic, and also what do you call that? Now I'm missing the musical term, but like the dynamic range. You can get like really quiet and those almost little piano tinkling and stuff like that, and then it can build up to some huge thing all within the same song, and really like go epic, which I really love. Actually, and the song that we're going to talk about, Rock and Roll Tales, my main theme, that kind of does that in reverse, right? It ends with the
that's right. I never
with the
thought
piano
about
a little bit.
Yeah. But the idea for that was to get it to really build as much as I could, so it gets to this incredible crescendo when it's really
Yeah.
going for it, and then just to like cut that right off and look
Yeah.
for something far more sort of somber and atmospheric.
Kind of like life does sometimes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah, I
talk
just love
about some
making
of
things
the
for. Yeah,
talk
sorry,
about
go
some
on.
of the influences that you have, because you describe yourself as a music lover, and I can see part of what seems to be a very impressive LP collection behind you. What are some of your main influences?
I would say the ones that come out in the music are mostly ones from when I was a teenager, strangely enough. So
Hmm,
I would say probably The Cure is one of my main influences,
hmm,
even though I don't particularly listen to The Cure very much now in my older life. I
hmm.
was absolutely obsessed with them when I was a teenager
Yeah.
for many years, right in my 20s. So a lot of The Cure comes into the Echo and the Bunnymen, all of these kind of 80s sort of
Hmm,
alternative, kind of slightly gothy bands. Fields of
hmm,
the Nephilim, that was a big one for me.
hmm.
Anything that took itself pretty seriously. Um, no comedy bands whatsoever, you know what I mean? Even
Yeah,
though I
yeah, yeah.
think some of my music can be a little bit funny now, but it's just so I don't take myself too seriously. But in the early days, yeah, a lot of it's coming from the early 80s alternative scene, I suppose.
Hmm.
Long trench coat type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had one.
Yeah, I had several, yeah. Yeah. All from the second-hand shops, and they used to
Exactly,
smell
yeah.
like the old guys that probably died in them before they got handed in. When it rained, it was really horrible smelling,
Wet, the wet,
yeah.
sick dog smell.
Yeah, exactly. Also, one of the other influences when I was a teenager was Depeche Mode.
Mm,
So I think in this particular song, that's where the sort of electro kind of beats type thing
mm,
came from, which is something I
yeah,
was trying for the kind of first time on that.
yeah. And I have to say, because I was actually laughing with James K. Ultra about
Yeah.
because it's come up a lot, this thing about the submit hub, and the criticism. And you did a post about that, where you kind of stitched together all these rejections and comments from submit hub that were taking a shot at your voice and things like that. I have to say, I love your voice.
Oh,
I,
thank
I
you.
think you have an amazing voice, because what I hear is something that's just like completely unaffected. There's no
Uh,
affectation to it. You're just singing, and I can hear in your speaking voice that's just like an extension, the singing voice, just an extension
yeah.
of your speaking voice, and it just seems so like it just seems so true. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
like really and you really there's a lot of emotion that you convey um with just a little kind of the way that you deliver a line, you know what I mean?
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
don't tune it in or anything. I don't use auto tune or any of these things. I don't tweak it at all because I think I just search for the best take when it sounds the most in tune. But there's many, many, many takes. But
yeah.
I think I found my voice now. When I first started doing this a couple of years ago,
Mm,
I think the voice was a bit soft and a bit, I don't know, a bit timid maybe.
yeah.
And I wasn't very happy with it then. But I think I kind of found it now of a more sort of a raspy thing. I
Mm,
think I'm quite like that sort of raspiness, and I try to like heighten it a little bit and put more of that into it.
yeah.
I think I've got two voices. I've got the sort of yelpy one in the background, and I've
Yeah,
got the
I
sort
love
of
that one
like
too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the raspy one in the foreground. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's mixed so that the yelpy one's quite quiet. Sometimes the raspy one's taken over. So I try and get them to both come in because I enjoy listening to it's like having two characters, I suppose, singing the songs.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I love your voice as well, by the way. I just have to put that in here because
Oh, thank
you
you.
sound so much like Bowie.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well,
And you're obviously a
yeah.
huge fan.
Well, he was my idol growing up, and yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I had a lot of kind of music industry people being like, you should back off of the Bowie, the Bowie thing. But
Yeah.
and then I actually did for in the like late 90s, it was a bit different, and I was singing real high notes, so it was like getting kind of that kind of controlled screamy yell thing
Yeah.
that was like a part of grunge and everything like that. But yeah, when I started doing music again, I just said, fuck it. I sound how I sound, and
Wow,
it
you're very
sounds
lucky,
it,
I
it
think, to
sound it
sound
sound it
as
sounds
that.
like Bowie, fine. That's okay.
I think for all us
I,
Bowie fans that are missing the man, and we need to hear that voice.
yeah,
So you're
I
providing
mean,
something for us all. It's great.
that's what I thought. I hope so. I hope people take it that way. And thank you for saying that, because yeah, I mean, I miss him too. And well, I mean, I even missed him for probably large portions of his career. I wasn't right there with Bowie in the 90s and stuff like that. Although
Yeah,
I love how he finished up with The Next Day, and then Black Star, I thought was just like
yeah.
incredible. But there
Oh,
there were quite a few years there where I was like, oh man, I wanna be with you, man, but I just can't do it.
no, I was
Just
like
write
that
write one of those catchy tunes, man.
in the 80s, obviously, but I did love
Yeah.
the Outside album from the 90s. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I love that too. Yeah. And that was allegedly going to be another trilogy with Eno, is what they
Yeah.
said at the time, but it never came to fruition, unfortunately. I would have loved to
Yeah,
hear
it's
something
just
like
so
that.
inventive, and he's really trying something interesting there with the art story about the murder and stuff like that. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really good.
I thought
Very
that
long
was
album
wonderful.
though. It goes on a bit, doesn't it? It's
It
very
does.
long.
It does. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Bowie, because I was hearing a little bit with your guitar. It reminded me of Earl Slick that plays with Bowie on the
All
Station to
right,
Station album. And
right.
a little
That's my
and the
favorite
way
Bowie album, actually. Station
oh,
to
so
Station.
so that makes sense, yeah, because that band, although it was super tight, it had this loose, dangerous feel to it,
Yeah,
and that's what I was hearing in
I
your,
like
like,
that.
when you
So
have the
I'm
full the
loose and
full band
dangerous
thing.
as a guitarist. I like that.
Yeah, a little loose and dangerous, yeah, right?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
When Earl Slick's on stage, you're like, I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know if he knows.
It's funny that, because when I go and watch live music, which I love to do as often as possible, I really like to see really good musicians, because I want to feel relaxed.
Mm,
If people are maybe not that competent on their instrument like I am, that's the last thing I want to be watching, because I worry for them. I'm like, "Ugh, is it going to
yeah,
be
yeah, you get
okay?"
nervous.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm like that. Because I'm principally a singer, so I hate to see a singer that's obviously self-conscious and doesn't want to be on stage,
yeah,
or is a little scared of it. My brother-in-law was well, he was a lifelong uh, musician, but he was a salesman for Nady wireless mics. They when the wireless mics came out, Nady was like the first big name. So
yeah,
he met all these these really big acts, and he gave me the piece of advice to, when you walk on stage, you have to just say, "This is my stage. This is my stage. I am king here." And that's what you need to bring to the stage. So that's always the advice that I went with.
sure, yeah,
And I knew that if I didn't just let go, during a performance, I was always going to regret it later, because
yeah.
all the times I played out live, I was just like, oh, I just don't want to feel that feeling afterwards, where you come down and you think, I could have done a better job. It was
Well,
like,
that's why
it's
I
tough.
can't walk on stage ever again, because I just can't own that stage. I just used to. The last time I was on the stage, I must have been about 22 or something like that, and
Uh,
I hated the whole thing. I didn't like getting bullied by sound engineers and that, just for not
oh,
really
yeah,
knowing what I was doing and
uh,
stuff. And it was just, didn't like it
yeah.
at all.
I hate that too. I mean, of course, it doesn't have to be that way. It's just like, come on, guys.
I believe it's probably different now. I think back in the day, I
Yeah.
think the sound engineers were a little bit meaner to the
Mm.
acts than they are now. My observations of this local venues that I go to anyway, it seems to be quite a nice, cozy environment now.
Yeah.
In those days, it was horrible. Didn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I had some bad experiences. Yeah. But let's jump into rock and roll tales, my main theme.
Okay.
It's, I mean, I was searching for the lyrics on different platforms. I couldn't find them, but is it kind of an ode to rock and roll? Or
Yes, it is. It's about the feeling. I mean, I am somebody who's absolutely obsessed with music, but like yourself probably is.
yeah.
And it is about how I've never grown out of that.
Mm,
The absolute obsession you have when you're a teenager,
mm,
and back when in those days there was no internet and stuff, so you had to read things in music papers or
mhm,
fanzines or whatever. And just to be absolutely obsessed with The Cure, for example, you had to join their fan club and all of this.
mm,
And every little bit of snippet of information, if a video came on the telly or on Top of the Pops in Britain,
mm,
that was like amazing. So I've never really grown out of that. And it's the
mm,
song is about when you grow older, most people do grow out of that. And it started off, the germ of the idea came when I thought my wife hasn't been to a live music concert with me for about 20 years or something like that.
mm.
Maybe 15 years, actually. I'm doing her a disservice there. But she did fall asleep at it. And I was thinking that, when you first meet someone and you're going out, you've got lots in common, and music was one of those things.
Mm,
And I just felt a bit cheated. I've always been a bit irritated by that. It's like, why don't you like the music anymore? And
mm,
you've changed, but it's actually me that hasn't changed, and everyone
mm,
else has changed. And all my friends, most of my friends, even the ones I go to see bands with, they are not as into it as I still am. So it was about, man, I'm like the last music fanatic standing,
mm,
and I feel I've got no one to talk to about these things anymore. So I actually went as far as joining a meetup group just to talk about music with
mm,
other like-minded music fanatics. And when I got there, I was just really disappointed to find it was mostly just people who had just arrived in Edinburgh from other countries, just join every single meetup group there is, no matter what, just to meet people and go on a night out.
yeah.
So I was speaking to all these people from foreign countries and all these stilted conversations, and nobody was talking about the music. So I did meet some people. There was a few music fans there too.
Mm,
Some have been my friends since, so that was good. But I just really missed that, and I thought, is it my fault? Is it because I've not grown up with these people, or what's going on? So it's a little bit about being irritated with everyone around me, but then also thinking maybe I should have grown up by now. Why am I still into this so much?
mm,
So that's part one. But then it changes, and I get a bit sort of regretful about it, and I start to doubt whether or not I still am that into it myself, because I've been to a few. I went to see The Cure, for example, recently. I've given up going to see Echo and the Bunnymen because it's just a bit sad now, I think.
mm,
I mean, have you seen the state of Robert Smith now? It's just, it's just
yeah.
too, yeah. And that, just the sort of nostalgia, I love nostalgia, and it
Mm,
was kind of damaging like one of my friends that I grew up going to see all these bands with, he refuses to go and see like Fields of the Nephilim with me now. I went to see them, they were good, by the way,
mm,
just
mm,
the other day. He refuses to come because he doesn't want to spoil what it used to be like, that amazing
mm,
feeling of when you were an 18-year-old watching it for the first time.
yeah.
So now I was beginning to doubt that, because I had watched a few of these bands that are still on the circuit, and it wasn't so good, and they looked a bit sad, and they were just going through the motions kind of thing. So
Mm,
that was the next part of the song. And then it goes to the bit where that's the sort of lull bit of when you realize that they're just people
can't go
just like
back.
you and I, that they're not like heroes, or they're not gods.
Mm,
But then at the end, that's the reprise. It's like, I'm saying I still want to believe that
mm,
these people are still, I miss it so much. I want to get that teenage feeling back of just being
mm,
absolutely obsessed and absolutely believing these people are rock gods and there's myths and I mean, I've got loads of books about them all, and I used to read everything I could. So it's about, I still want to believe in that basically, and I still want to believe in their rock and roll tales. So that's what, it's just going through a whole journey of self-doubt, irritation, and back to like joy again about just loving music, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's, I mean, do you find, because I'm always like, I have much the same experience, you know. I'll just say a funny story. I'm a health coach, right? In my when I actually try to make some money.
That's why you look so healthy. I was wondering why.
But
Thought maybe you had like a picture in your attic or something like that.
but I actually had this idea for like this rehab like resort that rockers could check into. It's called Good Morning Star Shine. Where when they go, before they go on a world tour, you know, before Robert Smith goes on the world tour, we get him in there, you know, he loses, you know, 20, 30 kilos. We get him off of the beer, you know, we go through hair and makeup and styling, you know, and then send him off onto the road, you know. Because I don't want to weight shame people, because I think people could be any weight they want to, but it's like you want your rock stars, the skinny rock stars, you just want them to stay skinny, you know what I mean? It's all right if they age, but just, you know, try to be somewhat, I feel like it's part of their job, you know what I mean? They're making so much money. It's just part of your job to try to stay in the ballpark of
I think it has
what you were, right?
It's become a career and a job to the successful artists. They can't keep going, and there's a longevity in their career that we didn't realize back then, that they are still all functioning, and the ones that are still together are still touring around the world and making money and just doing their thing. But I think it's when I went to see when I first noticed this, when I went to see the Pixies, when they first came back years ago, and they were just like, they're just going through the motions. And I think I even read an interview with them saying as much, and they all hated each other, but they were making so much money out of just going around doing this. And we saw them, and they never spoke. I don't think they spoke in the first place, but when we saw them back in the day, it was like very, very exciting, and they were aloof. But now they're just these old people going around that hate each other, making as much money as they can, because it just seems sad to me somehow. I feel bad for actually like slagging these people off, but it's
it's well, I mean, it's this thing of when they were your heroes, you know, you don't like to see them topple in any way, you know. But I'm wondering, because I'm always on the lookout, do you see bands nowadays, or younger bands that excite you the way ones did back then, where you can like jump into hero worship mode again?
Maybe not hero worship mode, but I absolutely still see loads of bands that I'm very impressed by, and I'm just compelled to, I want to go and see them. And just the same way when I was a teenager, I thought I have to see them on their first tour, the first time they come here.
Oh yeah,
I've got to be there. I have to buy the limited edition version of the record when it comes out, just because I'm just one of these sort of snobby music fans that piss people off and just go on about having the first one and all that. Yeah, I was going to wear a t-shirt. I forgot to get it out of the wash. It says, I prefer their earlier stuff. Basically, I'm that guy. I can't help but say that I saw them before that. Yeah, not saying it now, but I was back then. I was right in it, you know. I was right there. So I still am searching for that all the time. And I'm keeping me at the ground, and I'm curating a playlist a bit like yourself. So when stuff comes through that I think that's amazing, then I'm really pleased that I found that, and before anyone else, sort of not before anyone else, but I always look at their listeners on Spotify and see how many folk are listening at this particular point, and say they've got like you know, under 1,000 followers or something. I'm like, this band's so good, and I've found them right now. I mean, this is such a I'm still very excited by that.
Yeah. What can you name some that you're excited about?
I thought you might ask me that.
Okay.
But my memory was just so bad that if you
Okay.
put me on the spot like that,
I
I
understand.
couldn't.
I understand because I actually have some brain damage because actually I wasn't so healthy. I had a heart attack, maybe 5 years ago, near fatal heart attack. So I'm trying to
Really?
be
Wow.
healthy. Yeah. But I think, you know, well, it was many things, but I was not kind to myself in my, you know, what would be my rock and roll peak. There was,
Yeah.
I did a very, stereotypical drug implosion.
Now I haven't read up much about you, but I've got the impression from some of the stuff that I've watched on some of these interviews you've done that yeah, you've had some sort. I mean, you seem to me like you're an exotic sort of rock god type of guy. That's why I was a bit nervous, like speaking in the first place, because I just feel so absolutely normal, you know what I mean? Whereas you've like
Oh yeah.
been
Well,
there and done that and all that sort of stuff.
well, I mean, I just really think it's amazing what you're doing, man. I mean, I mean, I enjoyed it so much. I could tell you it's probably too much information, but I'm like house sitting in this house that's quite, you know, extravagant. And they have a huge bathtub. So I had in a bathtub and I had the Alexa, you know, I'm like, Alexa, bloop, play Burnt Log. So and I just let it go. I was like 2 hours, you know, soaking in the tub by
Oh, wow.
candlelight, listen to Burnt Log. And it was like, I have to say, I can't do that with too many people, you know. I could do that with Pain in the Ass too,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm such a huge fan of his, uh, you know, and it like totally freaked me out that I ended up, you know, working on
Oh
and
yeah. I mean, that's
producing
me
that
too.
song.
I
It's like
mean,
a dream come true, man.
that's an example of like James must have sent something.
Mm.
He must have put something that turned up, and I got to send something for my playlist, and then I heard it first of all. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So like, I became a massive fan of them, and I actually he was like my number two artist most listened to last
Mm.
year,
Oh yeah.
and
I
because
just love him
it's
too. Yeah.
just so like you say, you could be in the bath. Not that I ever take a bath, like, but you could be. Not that I'm dirty or anything, I have to shower, but you could be listening to Pain in the Ass all day and it
Yeah.
would never irritate you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know,
It's
it's like you
very
don't get that
listenable.
exhausted feeling like, okay,
Aye.
this
Whereas,
one I've heard before. I mean, it's the
aye.
same with yours. Every song is so different, you know. It's not like you're never like, oh, well, that's kind of a retread of the, you know, the song I heard 20
That's,
songs ago.
that's really good to hear. That's a nice
Yeah,
compliment. And somebody else
yeah,
said that to me, that they all sound like me, but each one does sound different. So that's really nice. That's kind of what I'm going for.
yeah.
And I've got another album of stuff ready to come out. So I'm
Oh, is
hoping
that
that they
right?
sound
Okay.
different to the first lot. I'm worried that maybe I'm going to start repeating myself. Maybe it's going to wear off and I'll be going into a cycle now. I don't know. But I hope not.
I have a feeling not. I have a feeling not. I have a feeling you're always going to give us something new and special. So this is a
Great.
whole album of new material that we
Yep.
haven't heard before. Wow.
Yep. I'm going to
And
do
when's
the
that
same
coming
as I
out?
did. Well, I'm going to do the same as I did last year. And I'm
Okay.
going to put a single out a month till maybe about April time. Stick it out then.
Yeah.
Just in the traditional old fashioned way of having a single. But then
Yeah.
what I've realized now is because I've got 5 that I want to release as singles. So I think they're 5 single sounding things.
Okay.
But I thought that's too many because I've only got 9 songs on it. So that's going to leave 4 that I've never released as a single. In an old fashioned sense, that's not right. You wouldn't do that on a vinyl record back in the 80s, would you? So I'm also thinking I can't release a single after I put the album out like I used to do in the old days either, because you know, the album's then out there and everyone's that's interested has already heard it and they wouldn't listen to that. So it doesn't work
Yeah.
the same way as it used to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in the old days, you just milk albums single after single after single. And I'd be excited to see what was on the B side and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have no B sides. Everything just gets released.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Unlike James K. Ultra, who put 2 out today that I'd never heard before, which is really good.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And I was gonna mention that if you heard that one that came out today, Petrified, because I I was just like kind of down in the dumps this morning and listening to Petrified with my morning coffee. He's gonna think I'm fucking around if he looks where it came from, because I listened to it all day. Just Petrified, just that
Yeah.
single. It just made me so happy, that little keyboard part, and then him doing the la 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 la.
Yeah, I think he said in a post, just listen to it and then come up with the first word that you think of. And I thought whimsical. I thought,
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
kind of like, it's got this childlike melody that he's got
yeah,
there.
yeah,
It's very
yeah,
simple. It's also very short, the song. It's only like
yeah,
about two
yeah,
minutes
yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it? But it's just like, yeah, it's like a really nice, happy,
yeah,
whimsical, childlike almost song. I
yeah, yeah,
think.
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly, yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
have no content, so I've got to like trail. Oh, this is coming out. Pre-release this, pre-release that. But he just dropped it, and it was great. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
quite a nice surprise.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, well, thanks for doing this, man. I knew you were like a bit hesitant, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come back again when your album comes out. And
yeah.
I'm super excited to hear the new stuff, man. I'm
Okay.
like, you can always count on me that I'm waiting out there for whatever you're gonna do next, man, because it's so creative, and yeah, just like intelligent musical arrangements and harmonies, and and catchy. You know what I mean? Catchy.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
It's been really
yeah,
good fun doing this. It's actually, I don't know what I was worried about. Like I said to you, you seem like a really friendly guy, and you are. It's
yeah.
like
Well,
you make people feel right at home. So
I mean, you mentioned too that you're such a fan of music, and this is what doing this show reminded me. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I also was kind of like, oh, the days are over, and it's nothing, and and seeing like bands like Greta Van Fleet or something, and I'm like, but here I'm slagging off poor Greta Van Fleet, but I just like, it's so exciting for me to like discover that there's a whole world out there of like
yeah.
independent artists that are really awesome, man.
I mean, I
And
listen
like
to nothing else than independent artists now because
that,
I'm
same with
not
me,
busy
same with me.
listening to all these playlists and stuff
Yeah,
and trying to do all of that. I don't have time to listen to anything else now
yeah,
anyway. So,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the quality is so good
yeah,
that there's so much stuff to keep me going. I mean, I have to
yeah,
devour music. I've got to get it all the time
yeah.
because my attention span must be quite short. But this is great to be a curator. You just get sent it, and
Yeah,
it's a
well,
pleasure
I
to
just
listen to.
started doing that with this Independent Artist
Ah, yeah,
Unite. I'm on SoundPlate, and then I have a little while to go. Then I can go on daily playlists. So I just started getting these songs in too, and I'm discovering a couple where I'm like, yeah, when
yeah.
when you find one, you're just like, yeah, man, keep going.
What I really enjoy is when you find like-minded artists such as yourself or
Yeah,
James, and you basically just support each other after that, and you just
yeah,
like everything that you do and all that. So
yeah. It's
I
wonderful.
just hope you
Yeah,
guys never release a really turgid rubbish song one day, and then I'd have to put it on the
yeah,
place. I'd have to present a lecture. But
yeah.
so
Oh,
far, that's not happening.
yeah.
So that's good.
Well, thanks, man. Um, yeah, great to meet you. And yeah, I'll be supporting whatever you're doing, man.
And you
And
too. I love this. I love the new song, and I love the last one too, and the one
thank
before
you.
that. So yeah, I've been playing them a lot, so very
Thank
good.
thank you so much, man. Um,
Okay,
well, have a great weekend.
and you.
See
Nice
you.
to meet you.